habits or practices or disciplines that we can incorporate into our own lives as leaders and preachers to make sure in addition to reading the Gospels every, no more than 5 minutes away from, what are other things that we can use to kind of tether ourselves to the heartbeat, the DNA, and the character of God, and not just get caught up in the mad sweep of whatever the latest, theological trend or craze or cultural
Right.
battle du jour might be.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, I just want to acknowledge to everyone online that we are in a time when I am fully and deeply and personally aware of the challenges of pastoral leadership and of Christian leadership in this time. And that, in fact, the buffeting, battering winds of so many different forces are all hitting and often focused tragically and painfully on the pastor themselves or on the given sermon or whatever it might be. So I'm aware that what you're asking about is really, really important and not easily achieved. So I do think you have to take the long picture. How do I cultivate lifelong habits? I remember I had only become a Christian when I was in college. And when I was in college and I would hear older Christians talk about still struggling with their, quote, quiet time. And I thought, oh my gosh, the trajectory of this is you could be 70 years old and still, having battle over your quiet time. It felt to me like, I don't want to be that kind of Christian. I want to establish some things that are actually going to be practices. So I hope all have serious practices of regular prayer, however we choose to do that, and times of Bible reading as well. Both are critical to this. But let me extend it a little bit further into our work. So I would say one of the practices that's extremely important to me is the use of the Jesus prayer. Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me. And I use that prayer almost continuously throughout every day. So I'm in various settings. I'm looking and having conversations. I'm in meetings. I'm preaching. I'm preparing to preach, etc. There is a mindfulness, in other words, that I've really sought to cultivate, of acknowledging utter dependency, not building my whole life out of my vision of my own strengths. How do I actually lock in to what is really primary? How do I lock in dependence? How do I lock in hope? How do I lock in reminding myself of the centrality of Jesus? When I'm in a meeting and I'm feeling my own passions rising over whatever issue it might be or difference I might have with whoever else might be in the group, I'm aware that I'm wanting to see them through the lens of Jesus. When Bonhoeffer uses that expression in Life Together, and he discusses that because of Jesus Christ, we never come to any person except in a mediated way with Jesus between us. I want to be mindful when the complaining parishioner is hounding my email box or knocking at my door or standing in my presence or sitting in my presence. I want to be mindful of seeing them in that moment through the lens of Jesus. So that's a very fundamental thing, but it's also true out as I walk through the world. So again, this isn't, once you build a rhythm of these things, it's not as mechanical as it may sound. But when I'm standing in grocery store lines or when I'm in traffic or whatever it may be, I don't do this perfectly, of course, but I do have a strong sense of the immediacy of Jesus' concerns, that person, this person, that habit, that structure, that institution is something that I want to perceive. So I think things like that are critical. I think another thing that has been really critical has been for me developing my own little private photo library, and it's a photo library of images of people that I've captured myself or that I've found someplace, and they become a sort of meditation library. By that I mean I slowly go through this photo book, studying the faces of the people that are there, trying to imagine what that image suggests about where they are in their life, what they might be burdened by, what the concerns are, partly as a way of just rehearsing for what I then want to do in real life, which is to be ever more deeply empathic, present, clear about what I am sure I don't know about the other person. and eager to, again, lean toward them. I do this in preaching. So I, for many years, was part of a church that had a tradition where the pastor sat up in front. Later, that wasn't true, but at the time, what I loved about sitting up in front was that it gave me staring permission. So, so sitting up there in the course of the service, it was extremely meaningful to me to just
on the stage facing the
yes,
congregation.
on
Okay.
the stage facing the congregation, because I could then just stare at my people, right?
Yeah.
And it felt like that was so important to me, to actually just get pictures of their faces. And often, because as we all know, many people sit in the same place, I could also note people's absences and realize, oh gosh, it's been several weeks since I've seen that person in that pew where they always sit, right?
Yeah.
So what I'm getting at is that all of this has to do with practices of perception, perceptions that are faithfully informed, perceptions that are trying to bring what is already there, namely the presence of Jesus, to the particular context, circumstance, whatever it might be. So that gives you perhaps just a few little windows into practices that have been important for me, at least.